Shall we move on to the Electoral Commission? And I'm going to ask that we try and be very brief about that, so that we can also deal with the oil, is it the fuel matter, and move on as well. Okay, now I'll start with you, Ms. Aiko, too, or the organizer of the NDC. Now, you agreed with the NPP. They issued a statement first. You agreed with them. All other parties came together, and as one group, you have a one voice, and you are telling the Electoral Commission that the decision to open the voters register for registration, as is required by law, without consulting the parties, was wrong. And fortunately, the EC has listened and has suspended the process. Why should all such processes require consultation with IPAC?
Sure, Samson. Let me say that we are not saying that what they did was not lawful. That is not the position from which we're coming from. They are backed by the CI 72. If you look at the CI 72, there's a provision that allows for continuous registration, and it doesn't specify whether you would have to inform, because it's continuous registration. You cannot be informing parties every time that you are going to do this, but the political parties are supposed to benefit from that process, if for nothing at all, because not everybody who actually goes in there to go and register. We are the ones who go soliciting for votes from people who have put their names in there to be registered. So it is necessary that even if you want to do such a thing, which you are backed by law, you engage the parties at IPAC levels. It is from this point that we thought that we were all left in the dark. We didn't know anything about it, how really it was going to be happening. And so, especially coming after the processes that the Electoral Commission itself put in place, with political parties' participation, civil society and the rest, and having come to some levels of consensus on the reforms, even though, like the chairman of the EC said, it's not all that they may be able to apply, but those that are that can be applied, they will apply them. We thought that, at least as parties, we should be involved in this process. And I'm happy that they listened to the concerns that we raised, and they didn't have to wait for us to say that we were going to court to go and contest it and what have you, and have suspended this process.
It took the NPP to be vigilant about it and raise it. Otherwise,
of course, one person one person will have to raise it. We cannot all raise it at the same time. One person may hear it first and raise it. It doesn't matter whether it was PPP, NDC, or CPP, or whoever raised it first. The most important thing is that we all are in agreement that even though what they did was not illegal, we believe that the best practice would have been that we are involved.
So what's going to happen moving forward?
We were supposed to have met on Friday, yesterday, but for this murderous activity of the MPP when they killed the regional chairman, as they themselves are alleging they killed him, we have to suspend that meeting. It has affected that process also. You see how it has happened? I'm saying that, but for that allegation of, we were supposed to have done that meeting yesterday, but that meeting was suspended. And the reason for which it was cancelled was this. The EC sent us, they sent messages.
Right, don't worry. I've read that statement. I've read the statement. They are doing it in solidarity with the party chairman who has died.
Kweku was challenging. That's why I wanted to read the message for him.
Okay.
So we couldn't do it.
It does appear though that the NPP's major concern is not just stopping this process without consultation, but taking a look at the call for a new voters register. It appears, because you issued a statement, it appeared that this is not your only concern.
Well, the process had started, and according to them, they were looking at Regulation 9, which says that the Commission shall register voters on a continuous basis.
That's right.
So as far as they were concerned, they thought anybody who turned 18 years could then just walk in and register. But what the political parties are saying is that we have a problem with the voters register. You know, we want to know.
NPP, not political parties. Don't say political parties.
Okay.
You followed us at the end of the day.
No. We didn't follow you on your disagreement on the register. We said for this
Very
particular
well.
continuous registration.
Okay, thank you.
It should be an IPAC meeting
Thank
to
you.
discuss.
Right.
Not that we don't feel that
Very well.
Okay.
We
You take it
had
beyond just that. You want to stop because the register itself.
Yeah, but what the
has
parties
problems.
are saying in effect is that you just don't put people's names on the register.
You're adding to the problem already.
When we don't know, who they are, for all you know, maybe there are people who are even 70 years and not 18 years. So it is appropriate that you get some party agents to be around to see whoever is doing that, So I think it was a good move. But the leadership, especially Nanado, has spoken about the fact that they don't think that the register is clean enough, is bloated, and that they would have loved something more than just adding on to it. So, listening is very good for once. We've saved money because it took some people to go to Supreme Court just to reverse something for which so much money had been spent, and then you had to go and look for more money and all that. So if you now wants to listen, I think that it's not a bad idea.
Kweku, I don't know where you stand. That the NPP is concerned, like Aikwetu mentioned, it's not just about the absence of party agents being there because they don't trust the EC, but about the fact that the register itself is problematic and you're adding on to the problem.
Yes, I both. I think the register is problematic. There's nothing stopping us from taking another look at it in our national interest as we head towards the next elections.
What's your problem with
But the problem with the EC is that lack of sensitivity to its environment. Sometimes that streak of arrogance, hard-headedness. They don't want to listen to anybody. This thing was avoidable. The fact that they themselves beat a retreat and decided to suspend the exercise showed that a little bit more sensitivity to the environment would have helped all of us. I'm happy eventually they pulled back. That's good. But I'm looking ahead. From what I hear, there are all sorts of internal problems there. Lack of harmony, the personal differences. So now the appointment that we are all anticipating must be very critical.
There are actually suggestions that the EC boss himself may not have been party to this particular process.
Because he's actually almost out. He's almost out. By now he might be writing his handing over notes and things. So he will not be that active as he used to be. I believe in that. I accept that. That's true. So there are problems there. And that's why we should watch carefully how we go about the appointment. I've heard some few things. Bird has whispered into my ears about the possible things going on. It's looking like some female choices heading in there, one from outside. There's a protest, and this is not within the EC.
Okay.
There's a female candidate member there who is up there. There's another female who heads another independent constitutional body.
Shall I also say?
Well,
NCC.
You have mentioned the name.
It's public. It's public.
So there's a stalemate at the highest level as to which one is with. We should be very careful. We need a very strong character. Yes, integrity, all those things, but we need somebody very, very strong.
Strong character, the opposite of what Obama, advocates.
No, but you need, if strong institutions still need strong characters.
Okay.
And especially with the EC, because of its history and what I'm hearing going in there, and the internal differences, the way things are going. If you put somebody to chair it and the person is not strong, there'll be trouble. No?
Dr. Ransford Jampo, who was part of the Electoral Reforms Committee, suggests that the internal problems you are referring to, he puts blame on some people and say they ought to be sanctioned. I don't know what particular sanction he's talking about, but that all of this process, someone ought to be sanctioned in the entity. I don't know what you know
you
about
are a lawyer, Mr. Ayiku, to a former AG is here.
can
Go
make
look
advice.
at the law, the legal regime.
Yeah.
If somebody is misbehaving within the EC, depends on what particulars we are talking about. So how do you activate it? Who handles it? I think I'm inadequate in dealing with that.
Are you familiar with any regime of sanctions legally for him? Anybody there?
Well, they are all commissioners to begin with.
Right.
And as Kweku rightly pointed out, the chairman is easing out. And it appears the one in charge of operations and something,
Right.
which looks like the first of the two deputies, could be in charge, as it were. And therefore, perhaps he thinks that he could apply the law and move on. I think that discrete searches had shown that an attempt was made, to just get this thing kicking, only to realize that that is not the way to go, So he's learning his lessons, if anything at all. But who appoints? Is it not the president? So when you start talking about sanctions, what are you saying? Are you suggesting that the president should remove somebody?
But the president does not have the power to act.
That is
No,
an
but that's what I'm
independent,
saying.
commission.
So
Yes,
you have
okay.
to go through a whole lot of
and there should be proof that they have done
procedures,
something illegal.
I think it's not different from a court of appeal.
Cannot,
Yeah, that's what
High
it is.
court, High court.
I think their removal is based on stated
The procedures.
misbehavior. Okay.
and
Yes.
So it's not as simple
Yes,
as
doc-
that.
doc-
regulation 9 months.
So
Okay.
they should leave him. I mean, what? It's just an error
Yes,
that
Doc,
has
what do you
been
say
committed.
briefly about the development? Particularly, some say it's very, heartwarming that the EC has seen reason quickly and, withdrawn the process.
Yeah, something you see, democratic institutions are critical, are very important. I mean, we are all institutionalists fundamentally. That's why the program has a specific time, to run. That's an institutional arrangement, and you have to abide by it. So once you create the institutions, we all created the institutions. You come under it. So even though we are rational actors, we are also rational actors, but our rationality is bounded somehow because we have to follow the dictates of the institution. Now, when you look at the role of the EC, very fundamental. Very fundamental to the conduct of free and fair elections. You understand? So the posture of the EC is critical. So that's why we normally say that they have to exhibit professionalism, they have to be impartial, and so on, a number of things. And in the process, what we have also built into our democratic arrangement is a reconfiguring of the consultative arrangements. But I think we are taking a cue from this democratic imperative that those who are affected by a decision must have a way of influencing that decision.
Yeah.
And therefore, we think that political parties are so fundamental, and therefore we formed the IPAC in 1994 to give some visibility and some legitimacy to the processes that are presided over by the EC. And therefore, if we have been able to activate this since 1994, one would have thought that they would not jettison this arrangement. You understand? Just because we have independence. Otherwise, then people will say that, you see, if the institutions must also ensure some form of flexibility, because it's the participation in the processes that will legitimize the process, and even that when you get the parties involved to accept the outcome of the process, and that further legitimizes and consolidates the democracy that we have. So you cannot behave as a tin god, as it were, and think that because you are empowered to do certain things, you can just go ahead and do it. No, you create problems for it.
But we should be able to have an EC that is trusted, that it will do these things on a normal day without recourse to the parties.
So build the confidence.
Yeah, you build the confidence first.
We will surely get
They
there.
will get there, yes.
We will surely get to. I would.
Yeah, Samson, okay, just a quick
sorry,
Yes,
yeah.
my argument was that yes, you need to build that confidence, but it's also important that you go through a certain process, and if you jettison that process, it creates problems for all of us. We are saying that I will wish that one day we will have this continuous registration in place.
Okay.
That will even reduce the tension.
I will hope
No, I'm
after
saying that
this
it
break,
must-
I will hope
in
after this break
practice, that's what I'm
that
saying.
you guys are able to tell me in a minute each whether or not you're able to afford the 9% increment on your fuel. We'll be right back.